Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome everyone to this episode of Reel to Reel Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and I am joined as always by the other Reel to Reel talkers as we prepare to talk movies. Joining me are Susan Chisholm and Paul Britton, and it is time once again to assign one another movies to watch because, you know, we haven't all seen all the movies. And I'm looking forward to this one, guys, because we discovered these sort of as we went over the last couple of episodes, and interesting choices are on the docket for today. So, welcome, team.
Hi, Sergio. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
How is everybody today?
Doing well. As we record, we are, what is it, Tuesday evening?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Might be Thursday already.
All I know is it's the holiday season, and there are just so many movies out there. I think as we get into this new normal, when it comes to movies releasing, online and the streaming, I can't even remember what actual theaters are about. I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a shame. I'm like, this is, and Sergio, I know you definitely relate to this, but this is the time of year where you'd be going to like the movie theater at least once a weekend, potentially twice a weekend. And I know you have your movie marathon that you are going to totally miss out on this year. Sympathies. I really feel bad for you for that because I know that you really look forward to that every year. And I'm just missing out on my standard, Saturday morning before my wife wakes up, sneaking out of the house to go see a movie. And, I don't know. I don't like it. Me no gusta.
Yeah. It's funny. I was about to talk about that on my social media this week. And that is this would have been the 8th annual movie marathon of awesomeness, as I call it, 5 movies throughout the Saturday after Christmas. But it's going to happen. It's just going to happen in the confines of my own home. And so I'll find ways
but that's then that's just Saturday. That goes from, the Saturday of movie awesomeness to Saturday, and I happen to be watching movies.
No, but the best part is you don't have to put like normal people clothes on. You can just wear your jammy jams and be comfortable all day long, and you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah,
you don't have to pay for that shit.
I won't be not wasting, but I won't be using any gas this year because usually it's at least 2 or 3 theaters that I have to go from.
Sergio, I've seen what you usually eat. You're going to be wasting some gas.
He went there. He went there. Wow, that might be the very first fart joke ever on the show. So
did I do that? No, but seriously, like part of the fun, I have done the multi-feature on a single day, and part of the fun of that is like literally working out the logistics. Like, how am I going to see more than one movie here? Like, it's so much fun to like sit down and like plan your attack, and then you realize one of these movies is just going to suck, but it's the only one that fits in with my schedule. So, oh well. And I've never done 5 movies. I've done 3 multiple times, but I've never tried.
We could make this. That could be the Saturday of awesome movie watchingness. Could be like the show.
Except we're going to be on hiatus that week, so
I know, but we can still do it anyway. We can do it on 2/7.
We do whatever we want.
I do what I want.
You know what I could do is I could just watch a different movie in different rooms of the house. So Because you're right, the logistics was always the fun part. I would find myself in the week before sitting down and having to go online, look at all of the different theaters in San Antonio. You know, okay, so I'm at the theater up the street for this one. Okay, then I have to make sure that I time it so I can drive over to this theater. And then there was like, oh, I need at some point to go to this theater because they have food. And so, yeah, and it was always an adventure. But regardless of the fact, we are in a new normal, so to speak, at least for the next, I would imagine, 12 months. And HBO Max, I think it bears mentioning that we're going to see a lot of releases in the next year on HBO Max. They have said, just that, beginning with Wonder Woman here in just a few days. I know we're not on our main topic yet, but I'm curious, are both of you looking forward to the new Wonder Woman movie that's coming up on Christmas Day?
I think it would be best for me to watch the first one first.
Might help.
Uniform, Susan.
Might help. Yes. The answer to that is yes, but it's more complicated than that. I'm going to try to find it in a theater, quite frankly. Like I'm but tempted. I know that my wife's going to want to watch it. My son will certainly want to watch it, and I will not be able to take either one of them with me to the theater. So, yeah, I mean, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and mention Soul. Soul is coming out. Yeah. Soul went from one of the 5 most anticipated movies for me for 2020 to see in a theater to it's not coming out in theaters at all. Like, Disney didn't even say, do the pretense of, we're going to do both. Like, yeah, sure. And people are going to go to the theater. Disney was just like, we're just going to give you Soul for free on Disney Plus, which is cool, free. I'll take free, but I'd like to see it in a theater. I don't know. So the whole thing makes me sad. I don't want to be a bummer. I'm going to be a downer if we keep talking about go down this road. Well,
I'm excited because Mulan is now available for everyone. So
there you go.
I'm going to get to see that. So
sweet.
Well, our topic this week, we are once again at movie assignments. We have, again, as we have done in shows past, 2 of us have seen a film and have assigned it to the third. And so we'll be looking at 3 movies in this episode that each of us who received the movie had not yet seen. And so I am really excited because I think we all got movies that, there's, at least in my opinion, there's going to be things to talk about all 3. So
there aren't any Child's Play in this list of 3 is what Sergio is trying to say.
This is true. So, Paul, we're going to start with you. You received a movie from Susan and I, and so let's go ahead and get started. Let us know what you saw.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to pretend to tie this into Christmas and say, from the makers of Love Actually comes a little film called About Time. It's one of those fun movie experiences where this movie's been out for a really long time and I watch and I hate myself for having waited so long to see it. Like, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I frigging loved this movie so much. And it wasn't just because it had Bill Nye in it. It's such a great movie. So much. It's just, if you've seen Love Actually, it just has that sort of energy, but with a single storyline that is coherent and wonderful. It's very British and very lovely. And I mean, I just thank you guys. Thank you. I love you both again.
Yeah, this was a film that was introduced to me by a friend, and there is, again, that very, it's not usually my pick of film because it's sort of that romantic comedy kind of thing.
Sure, yep.
But this also had family and time travel, which, come on. And so.
It's a sci-fi romantic comedy, come on. Yeah, I'm on. And then made by the guy who made Love Actually, so good for him. Yeah, and it had multiple ginger jokes, which is just also super fun. I don't know, like it worked on so many different levels for me. Just Rachel McAdams, oh my god. So there you go. It's just great. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen this one, I cannot possibly recommend it more. Super fun. So yeah.
Susan, I'm very pleased at our choice then.
Yeah.
I know. And like, I'm really happy that you liked it. To be perfectly honest, when I first saw it, I was going through some things and I was like regretting a decision that I had made. And I was like, God, if I could just go back in time. Oh, let me watch this movie.
I don't have that power. Yeah.
I think, it's like one of those like stereotypical comedy, rom-com scenes where she's like sitting there and like has a box of chocolates and she starts throwing them at the TV. That was me. Under no uncertain terms, that was completely and utterly me throwing chocolate at the screen. So.
I do have 2 questions about this movie that I want to raise. Okay. And so spoiler right now, skip probably like 5 minutes. If you've never seen the movie, you want to go in totally clean. First question. Would you, after going back in time and fixing it so that the guy has an awesome play, his play works out very well, but you lose out on missing Rachel McAdams, would you like keep it that way and do what he did and just find another way to meet Rachel McAdams? Or would you be like, oh, screw this, I'm going to go find my girlfriend of the future forever and fix it that way?
I would do the same. I would do what he did. I mean, I'd just find another way to find it and be, because at that point he had known her. He kind of knew about her, knew a little bit about her. So it was like, maybe because he clearly, he embarrassed himself a little bit, but like in the museum where he's like, oh, I love so-and-so because she told him about it.
Right.
So,
right. But I mean, that now you're spending so much time in that museum. Sergio, you didn't answer. What's your answer?
Well, no, I was going to say that I'm as much as a romantic as I am, I'm also one about, not messing with how things went. I like the memories of how I met certain people or how I came across certain things. So I would have gone back to the original. I would not have changed how I went about it. So
yeah, and that's the way I am too, Sergio. I like once I realized, oh crap, I don't get to meet this person. I would have, at the very least, I'm like going back and doing that one more time just to get a better idea of where she would be at a certain time. Just to say, well, but second question that they don't explain is how does he get his daughter back? Because I love the thing where he comes back and he goes and changes something with his sister, and then he comes back and he has a kid he doesn't recognize, a little boy. But then and he goes to talk to his dad about it, and his dad explains, if you go beyond when your child was born, little things change, and how did he, like, they never really satisfactorily explained how they got his daughter back, and that confused me. And did I miss something or?
No, because I maybe Susan has a different take, but I remember it the way you did, that it was like, okay, but it's such a good movie, I'll accept what's happening and go with it.
That was, yeah.
So I thought that he went back again and undid the thing that he did, or did it like a little bit differently.
Yeah,
for his sister.
But
and when he came back, because I think it's weird. I didn't explain it, but that was what my assumption or my interpretation of it was that he went back and undid it, or did it a little bit differently, so that whatever butterfly wings didn't make this
fair enough. Good, I'm done. Thank you, Sergio and Susan. 4+ guac for me on this one. About time.
Oops.
Excellent. Sorry. For those who are watching for the first time, then that, or if you're watching all along, that our taco rating system here on Reel to Reel Talk, the most a movie can get is 5 tacos, but you can throw extra guac if you want. And so you're saying 4+ guac, Paul?
4 tacos plus guac, super tasty, yum yum yum. Excellent,
great start to this movie assignments episode. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Paul. Which brings us then to Susan. Susan, you were assigned an 80s classic.
I was indeed. It was came out the year that I was born. Okay.
I'm an old man.
Welcome to me. I was given the 80s classic Breakfast Club. With a bunch of like big names for the day, like Molly Ringwald and Ali Sheedy were two of the big ones in the names. And so going through this movie, I watched it with this trying to think of how things would have been rather than what I'm used to seeing, because in high school, obviously my high school experience was very different. It was 15 years after this one. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the little like side plots and storylines that they had, and in doing the research for it, there was so much that wasn't scripted, and there was so much that they kind of ad-libbed as they went along that made it feel a lot more natural. And I could see being each of these people, or like being friends, or being in that position, being there in the library with them, because it's like, okay, yeah, they were very believable. It was like they all had that kind of backstory, but just enough to not to make you kind of know them, but not enough to make you be like, hey, wait, I'm confused. What's going on here? So yeah, I really liked the hijinks they did. And then more trivia that I found out was that originally Rick Moranis was cast as Carl, the janitor, but was then promptly fired because he kept trying to give the janitor a ridiculous Russian accent, and John Hughes hated it. So that's some trivia for you. We were talking about, I think, trying to figure out where people had gone off to. So and y'all were specifically worried about Judd Nelson, where he disappeared off to. He actually, he was in another, what was it, St. Elmo's Fire that same year, but he started doing a lot of voice work, and he's actually been doing recurring roles in TV series and such like that. Obviously, Emilio Estevez, he's kind of had little moments here and there, same thing. He's doing a lot of TV shows. But that was kind of my interpretation of everything. I really kind of dug that. Yeah. So which character do you guys think that you relate more to? I think.
Oh, geez, Paul, you'll have to go first.
Paul has to go first.
You guys can answer for me. If you don't know by now, I don't know what to do for you. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like, you know.
Oh, you're ridiculous.
No.
Well, see, I don't want to guess wrong, but I would say
come on.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So Anthony Michael Hall. Nobody knows who any of these characters are by their name. They all know them as the actors. So we can just say Anthony Michael Hall. Yes, obviously, Anthony Michael Hall.
Well, and here's what's funny, because not from an appearance standpoint, but that would be the character I'd relate to most as well, because I was I was known as the very quiet, brainy. I wasn't an athlete, and I sure as heck wasn't a troublemaker. And so, that's really all that's left. The closest to me was Brian, because he had such, lack of confidence in himself. And, I can't even say I was the brainiac he was. So it's like I'm landing close to Brian, but not really fitting any of the characters overall. So kind of a tough question.
I was pretty much Brian minus the Saturday detention for trying to kill myself. Like, so that.
Yeah, no, I was a huge nerd, but I was also kind of a weirdo. So I'm somewhere between, between Brian and Allison, because I did weird shit. High school was very different for me.
I think it was for all of us. Yeah. I fit in no clique whatsoever in high school. So
I've always been like my nickname for a while had been the chameleon, because I could go anywhere and fit in with anybody but why?
Yeah.
So I in terms of ratings, I think I would probably give it for Tacos with Guac also. I there were certain things that were just kind of like, did that have to be that way?
You mean like the Emilio Estevez screaming in front of the glass and then shattering?
It breaking, yeah.
Probably the worst scene in any movie ever made. Yes, everybody always wonders why.
It's and you know, crawling through the air vents and falling into the. He's just like, oh, I forgot my pencil. Yeah. So I just anyway.
Yeah,
that's my.
Definitely some ridiculous moments that were stretches for the story itself. But John Hughes, of course, captures the angst of what it was like to be in high school around that time. So
Sergio, I have to ask you. You were adamant that we assigned this one to Susan because you wanted to talk about it for the pod. Because this is one that you just recently saw within the past month yourself. So. Mm-hmm. What is it that you wanted to discuss? Like, what is it that you that was like, oh my God, we need to do this one?
Well, Susan already did a bit of a dive into it, and that is, you know, where are these actors now? You know, when you think of the strength of Judd Nelson's performance in this film, this is the kind of acting job that shows such promise that you then can't help but wonder this many years later, what happened, right? Susan?
Ooh, pick me. I know. In doing research. So Judd Nelson had, according to, you know, the things that I was reading, he had a really bad habit of staying in character and continuing to pick on people off camera. And it really pissed John Hughes off. And he basically kind of blacklisted him. According to what I was reading, like he would pick on Molly Ringwald like constantly, and it pissed off John Hughes to the point where he was like, "You'll never work in this town again."
Interesting.
I did
but
not
yeah,
know
and like
that.
you said, it was very his performance was like strong. It was. That's the guy. You see him every one of us who went to high school saw somebody like him. Almost identical.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say I hated people like Judd Nelson. Like,
oh yeah, I
literally.
got bullied by people like that.
Yeah. And so this is not one of those movies for me that like I loved ever in my life. I love John Hughes and I appreciate this movie. And I know that there are people that really love this movie. I'm not one of them. And specifically because it's like, I just don't feel sympathetic towards too many of the characters, but specifically Judd Nelson's character. It's just like, there is a clear motivation to make people feel bad for Judd Nelson's character and try to explain this is what's going on. At the end of the day, fuck that. You're making other people's lives miserable.
Right.
Like, fuck you. I don't like you. I don't care about you at all. And there is absolutely no excuse for you to make other people's lives miserable. And my life was made miserable by people exactly like Judd Nelson. Not, I didn't ever have a problem with jocks remotely as much as I had a problem with the people who were miserable and just wanted to make other people miserable. So.
Yeah. And I think therein lies for me the reason that the principal became so annoying, because he was out to one up this kid, but was far worse, and of course it was played this way for the sake of the story and all. So, at the end of the day, this movie, as well as it was done, I'm not going to sit there and say, this was some of the best movie making I've ever seen. I mean, it wasn't anything like that. It was just the relatability of some of the characters and more so some of the moments, but also it just left me with this wondering of what happened to these people. I remember, Molly Ringwald, I just recently saw Pretty in Pink. I mean, these are movies that you're familiar with, you probably know more than you realize. And then you watch it and you're like, okay, well, that was Pretty in Pink. Okay, great. But I remember knowing of her in those films, and then not seeing her again until she was in the made-for-TV version of The Stand with Gary Sinise. And I remember watching that particular show thinking, she's great. Like, where's she been? And so that, across this cast, that was the thing that stood out to me, was they had these highlight moments, you know, Emilio Estevez with the Young Guns movies that were a lot of fun. You know, Anthony Michael Hall, Weird Science and so forth. But then what, you know? And so it just kind of was weird to me that this kind of work was done by these actors, but then they had their moment in the sun and then we're done. And, you know, end of story. So
yeah, and for me the biggest one was always Anthony Michael Hall, because he is so good in everything he pops up in the 80s.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't make sense that like what he did should be able to translate to, like, you look at Robert Downey Jr., who's in, you know, some of these movies as well, and playing characters similar, a little more quirky, but to what Anthony doing, basically the same kind of things that Anthony Michael Hall is doing, and it's like, well, yeah, it's very sad and frustrating that like some of this is like there's really no reason for it. It's weird. Maybe Saturday Night Live killed him. I don't know.
Maybe
because he was horrible in Saturday Night Live. Yeah, but
well, many careers go to die on Saturday Night Live. So
yeah.
Susan, I have to ask you, you know, now that you have compared this movie to your high school experience, I mean, exaggerated as it may have been for, you know, the 80s and life back then, what's your take on, does this movie age well?
That's a tough one. Because there are things that are different even now from when I was in high school. I mean, in terms of relatability, possibly. I mean, because the characters all have very real backstories that are something that are common, like Judd Nelson's, you know, character. He came from an abusive household, so he'd rather be this troublemaker than come across as some like weak, abused kid. And you see that's a lot of what bullies do. You see it in a lot of different storylines. You know, the rich princess and the kind of weird, just a little off person. You know, all these people still exist. In terms of like seeing them in high school, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in high school.
Because you were the popular one, right?
She already established she was not. So I mean,
you fun.
I just wanted to see the reaction. So, yeah. Well, look at us cool kids now.
So. Yeah, we've got a YouTube channel. What do you got?
That's right.
Biatch?
Nice. All right. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Susan. It's again a classic I took way too long to see, and once I did, I knew that I needed to get you in on the action. So thank you for your thoughts on yours. So that brings it all to me. You guys assigned me the movie Big Fish, and it's again one of those moments where I say it's been on the list for a long time, and I just never got around to it. And I have to tell you that we talked about, well, Susan, you talked about this movie when we did our episodes about movies that made us cry. And so I can honestly tell you that I tried to sort of not think about all that as the movie went on. And I'll tell you that I also thought to myself, man, I hope that this thing doesn't end with me going, I didn't cry. I'll start by simply saying that this movie had me fat, big old tears running down my face. I mean,
we succeeded. We finally made Sergio cry.
and I tell you, this movie, boy, it hit hard, and I was so, I can't tell the two of you how many times I had phone in hand, ready to tell you, you know, I'm watching it and this is what's happening. It was like, nope, save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
But it was that powerful of an impact. Any movie that will deal with the loss of a parent, it's very hard, because I, you know, am now at a point in life where I've lost both my mom and dad. And so when it's about the story itself is about, of course, you know, the loss of a father who who, you know, was a great storyteller and who loved to make up tall tales and so forth, there were elements of my dad that I saw in, you know, in the character of the father in this movie. I'm very much a fan of Tim Burton's work. It's so unique and it's so out there. And this movie was no different. But what I think separated this film from so many of his others was the work of the cast. This film has people in it that are favorites of mine. You know, you know, just really, I can't say enough about Albert Finney as the dad. Billy Crudup is a big one for me. I mean, he I don't think receives the appreciation he deserves, you know, across roles that he's been in, whether it's the, you know, his role in Sleepers, which is another, you know, sort of little hit that people don't really know about. I can go on with Billy Crudup, but Ewan McGregor, I mean, and then you throw in all of the other unique characters, and the one that I want to mention is Matthew McGrory, who plays Carl, the giant. As much as this was a Tim Burton film, there were so many elements of it that were so not what we're used to from him, that, you know, that sort of familial interaction, the storytelling was wonderful. Jessica Lange is, of course, amazing. But it kept coming back to, as wonderful as the film as it was, the thing that kept coming back to me were the conversations between Billy Crudup and his dad. They were just so beautifully played. And then, of course, you throw in, you know, and I keep, you know, calling them by their actual name, but Will Bloom and his fiancée Josephine, which is Marion Cotillard. This movie was about conversations. It was about, you know, each of them interacting with, you know, Albert Finney as the father, and the storytelling that he did. He never changed who he was. And the whole struggle of the son not knowing the father and finding out about his dad and what he really was about. Of course, it culminates in a scene between the father and the son that was finally, that it was like close to sobbing. And then they hit you again at the funeral. So it's like, there was just this wonderful build of emotion in a story that I could relate to, because my father was a big storyteller. My dad was, you know, someone who I fortunately knew well. You know, I can't say that I related to the notion of not knowing who my dad was, or, you know, understanding who he was. But it certainly took me back to all the times that I did get to spend, you know, and so I was sort of counter relating to what, you know, Will Bloom was going through in the film as someone who didn't have that contact with his dad. And so it really, really was a beautiful film. It was, it hit every emotional moment that a movie can. And I highly, highly recommend it. There are moments of it that were just sort of out there for me. Danny DeVito's entire, you know, segment. Although it was quite nice to see him pop up at the end. And so it's not a 5 taco movie, but it certainly lands at a strong 4+ guac for me, because it was successful in telling a good story, keeping you interested. It didn't become laborious to get through this emotional sort of, you know, journey. It really, you kept wanting more. You wanted to see that resolution between the son and the father. And when they, if you haven't seen it by now, sorry, I'm just going to say it. When he starts to tell his father's story,
yeah,
I was done.
Yeah.
I was just, yeah. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah. As someone who had the fortune of being very close to my parents, it was a trip down memory lane for myself to recall all the wonderful times that my parents, you know, would explain things to me in ways that were relatable or funny. My dad especially, and yeah, this movie was a winner. It's one I'll go back to Sometimes I don't know if you guys ever do this. Do you ever need to like force yourself to a cry just to kind of get some cathartic, moments?
Sure.
Maybe I'm weird, but I know this movie will do it. So, so yeah. So thank y'all, because that was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. So,
I rewatched it this week as well. I hadn't rewatched it in quite some time. It's been a long while, and I really thoroughly enjoyed watching it again. It's such a different Tim Burton movie. It's there are aspects of it that are like, oh yeah, hey, this is a Tim Burton movie, and then there are other he does it. His stories don't usually try to connect this emotionally,
right?
I don't think. He's always telling good stories, right. Not always, but most of the time he's telling a really good story. But this one clearly had one goal, and there are movie people who make movies, that directors or writers that this is what their bread and butter is. This is the kind of thing they try to accomplish and connect emotionally. And I don't feel like that's something Tim Burton always tries to do, but he, on this one, he does try to do it, and it really, really works.
Yeah. It really shows his range in terms of what he's able to do. And I can't say enough about this film and the work of all the actors involved. I mean, and one of the things that I made sure to do, just one last thought before I forget, because I wanted to include this. I purposefully didn't do any research before watching this film, because I hadn't seen it. I knew Ewan McGregor was in it, but I only knew that because Susan had talked about it. I was so delightfully surprised every time a new character came on screen, and it was one of my favorite people, like Steve Buscemi, Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, they just kept coming, and I was like, "This is wonderful." I mean, it was just
it was a Tim Burton movie, so you had to know Helena Bonham Carter was going to show up at some point.
Right, of course. But no, that was cool, just to meet these characters and know who was portraying them. I mean, Northern Winslow was hilarious. I mean, Danny DeVito as the circus ringleader or ringmaster. So yeah, it was I don't use the word delightful often, but this movie definitely merits that description. It was delightful. It was emotional, and it was a whole lot of fun. So, again, thank you. This was a nice round of movie assignments.
It really was.
Yeah, we got a lot out of this one. This was fun.
Yeah, we definitely did a good job.
Yes, we did.
Good job by us.
For us. Yeah. High five to all of you on screen. So,
a winner is us.
That's right. And if you think we're winners, come and join us every week as we produce new episodes, or go back to our social media and our YouTube channel so you can enjoy past episodes of this show. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find out what we're going to be talking about on future episodes. You can go back and find out what we've been watching and what we've talked about in the past. And you can also communicate with us there. We ask that you leave comments and give us your thoughts. Let us know things that you're watching, maybe some ideas you have of movies we should watch and talk about. Whatever the case might be, join us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, here on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us as you do. We appreciate the support, and we ask, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and also that notification bell so you know when our episodes land. In addition, don't forget, you can comment and like the episode, and also share it. Share it from this portal so that others can watch and enjoy the show as well. Well, it's time for this week's segments, and I want to know what the hell Paul watched this week. So, Paul, we'll turn it over to you for what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah, man. All right. So, I got, we're Christmas time, so I've been trying to do some Christmas movies, and I have a real treat for everyone. So 1964, there was a movie made called The Magic Christmas Tree. And I just, so when I'm looking for these things, my Google searches are pretty standard, what you might expect. I'm looking for the strangest, weirdest whatever Christmas, and so, and on every list, this one popped up. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do this one. And this, I mean, this is another example of something that you just, why, how, I am far more interested in the, how did this even get made question than I am the, anything like that. Like after watching it, my only question is, what the hell happened? Like what was the month leading up to this being made, and what was the 2 weeks during production like that? But because they're small little things, you'll never find out. Like there's just not information out there. Like every once in a while you might get lucky and find out some information, but this one there isn't. But bottom line, just to tell you what everybody's about, this is basically somebody said, hey, I want to remake Wizard of Oz, but crappy and around some loosely based Christmas something. And so somebody said, okay, let's do it. And well, shouldn't we have an idea first? And they're like, nah, let's just go and make a movie and let's do it. And like, okay. So it takes from Wizard of Oz, it takes the idea of, we start out in black and white, and then something happens, although not a tornado in this instance, and a person gets knocked out, and when they wake up, everything's in color, and they're in a very different place than when they left. And it's just, I just want to scream at this thing, because it's like, just stop. This isn't working. It doesn't make any sense. Just stop. Anyway, long story short, this movie doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. I should have just stopped. No, it's really fucking weird. I mean, it's just like, my favorite parts about it though are like, so everybody has, if I say Christmas 1964, Christmas tree, you're going to get an image of a Christmas tree in your head, It's just like, oh, okay, so this is kind of what I would expect a Christmas tree to look like in 1964. And it is exactly what you would imagine in your head. Like tinsel to the absolute hilt. Like there's just absolutely no reason for that much tinsel ever. These giant bulbs that are mishmashed all over the place and make absolutely no sense next to each other or even on the same tree. Shitty lighting. It's just, and then everybody being like, oh, this tree is so beautiful, I can't believe it. It's like, oh, stop. And, and there's even an evil witch, although she's not evil, she's really nice. So again, like, yeah, seriously, they call her the evil witch, but she's actually really friggin' nice in this. And like, she's the person who gives the kid I don't know. It's an hour of just like, what? How is this a thing? Like, how is this a thing? It's on Tubi, it's free. If you have an hour to spend and want to just really be confused by something that got made, this is it. This is so much better than the other one. What was what was that one that I did
Christmas
last month?
Ice Catastrophe or whatever.
Oh, well, it's way better than that. Yes, it's way better than that, because Christmas Ice Catastrophe is just bad and has nothing to do with Christmas, whereas this one is bad but has a lot to do with Christmas. So, at least there's that. No, I'm trying to think of the one. Deathbed, the bed that eats. It's as perplexing as far as what happened. How did this get made? Like they're very close parallels to the visceral emotion that I feel while watching it of what the fuck is this? Whereas, but while having Christmas, so it made me feel a little nice, I guess, because of Christmas time. I don't know.
And what was it called again?
The Magic Christmas Tree.
Magic Christmas.
And my one note on this movie, I almost got all the way through. So like I love it when there's like something that goes on during the movie that it's just like persistent and makes me mad. This movie, when people are going to film school on how to make movies, they should show this on why you just fucking use the boom mic and don't say we can fix it in post. Because they never even bothered to like rent, borrow, steal a boom mic. And so the whole thing, all of the audio is recorded in post. And it's literally like watching a bad dubbing of like a Japanese movie. Like watching 1954 Godzilla. And it's like, why are we doing this? Like, just give me the subtitles. Like, I would have literally just rather the movie been silent the whole time and had subtitles. And how bad the dubbing is on this thing, and it's it's crazy. Crazy.
You find the most wonderful things, Paul.
Yeah. I do want to throw out another thing really, really quick. A Christmas Carol animated 1971. It's under a half hour. It won an Oscar, so you can actually go watch a 1971 animated short that won an Oscar, and be able to say, hey, I saw this Oscar-winning thing. It's just about as weird as you would expect for a 24-minute version of the Christmas Carol made in 1971 as you could possibly expect. Like it's exactly like what you're thinking in your head. How can they do that in 24 minutes? And oh my God, what was the animation like in 1971? It's that. Like it is exactly that. So
nice. Well, week to week, you can find out what the hell Paul just watched. So make sure you keep coming back because the streak continues.
Yeah.
With all kinds of weird. Paul, I admire your ability to watch sort of the highest of the highs when it comes to quality, and then subject yourself to some of what you've dealt with this year. So
yeah, it's I'm looking forward to January where I can get back to doing von Trier movies, Lars von Trier movies, because Lars von Trier, because I've really enjoyed the horribleness, like the just like. They are torturous to watch, but I enjoy that torturousness. Like that's the kind of torture that I enjoy in a movie. So I'm just gonna, I guarantee I know exactly what movie I'm watching first thing in January, just to get the stink of these horrible Christmas movies off of me.
Well, we can negotiate your raise after this.
Horribly depressing, but I don't care.
Oh my goodness. Well, that brings us to the close of another What the Hell Did I Just Watch? We'll always look forward to more week to week. Now it's time to figure out what Susan finally saw. Susan, I'll turn it over to you so you can wow us.
I did it again. I watched a Christmas movie.
Oh. And
it's one that I have been told repeatedly, and it's the one that I get the most. You've never seen that? I'm going to talk about Christmas movies. Yes. I saw Elf.
You'd never seen that?
I knew you'd never seen it. I'm excited you did.
Yeah, me too.
No, and actually, one of the first conversations that Sergio and I had about movies, I think that was the movie that I hadn't seen, and you were like,
"Mm-hmm." Can I do I know this is your segment, but can I please do a quick impersonation of your reaction when I brought up Elf?
Okay, go ahead.
Susan. No. I was like, okay.
Did I?
Yes.
That looked like that was a really good Susan impression. So I'm going to assume that was accurate.
No. Absolutely not.
You just did it.
Way off.
You just did it. Like literally, you can rewind to 30 seconds when Sergio did it and what you just did, and they would be identical.
It's pretty spot on.
So I finally watched Elf, and it was really difficult because to not give away what I had watched, because there was a conversation online between two people and Sergio. It was Sergio and somebody else, and he said something like, "You're a liar," and I was like, "You sit on a throne of lies." And I was like,
no, I can't do that.
Delete. No, at that point that I had seen it and he had been like, I know what you're going to talk about. Yeah. So I mean, it's one of the movies that the holiday movies that's like, you know, happy ending. It's got Will Ferrell.
It's highly quotable, as you just commented.
Oh, yeah.
It's highly quotable. It is. It definitely has the what the fuck factor also a little bit in it, because it's like you can see the dad's face. He's like, the fuck is going on here? So I mean, so me personally, I have this issue with people who do embarrassing things and, you know, like putting themselves in embarrassing situations, and I feel embarrassed for them. And so that was me the entire time when he was like trying to introduce himself to his dad. And I was just like, oh. And it does that. I mean, like in public. So that was I had a little bit of a tough time in the beginning, but I did end up enjoying the movie. It probably will go on the rotation. I'm not going to say that I'm going to watch it every single year, multiple times a year, but I'm going to say that
I do.
The kids, well, good for you. Good for you. The kids probably would enjoy the heck out of it, but like.
So you haven't shown it to the kids yet?
No, I watched it one afternoon. I think I was off for the afternoon and the kids were still at school. I was just like, I'm gonna watch it on the big TV instead of
it's one of those movies that's plays on TBS or TNT all day on Christmas. Just sit the friggin' kids in front of the TV at some point and say, "Here, we're watching this movie," and you'll get 2 hours of calm and peace.
Yeah,
and the kids will have a pleasant experience.
They're definitely going to be sitting in front of the TV on Christmas. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying.
What we do.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'll let them watch it. But yeah, there you go.
Very fun movie. With so many favorite lines. Francisco.
That's fun to say.
That's fun to say. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic film. When I have to ask you, Susan, because it's my absolute favorite moment of the movie. I want to kind of see if you remember how you reacted when the shop owner says, "All right, everybody, Santa's coming," and then his reaction.
I was like, again.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's really crazy about it is that how genuine Will Ferrell is. I mean, like,
yeah,
you can see how you know, he probably surprised some people with that because he went like all out.
Yeah.
So.
I'm impressed with every child actor that appears in this movie, because I just know if I had seen what was going on with Will Ferrell during the filming of this movie, like, there's no way I am not reacting to that in some way, no matter how many takes you give me, because you know each take he's doing something a little different, so there's going to be something new, so I'm going to have a different reaction to it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And think of all the memes that you're going to understand now, Susan.
Right. This is true. Yeah, hard to believe this movie was 2003.
World of memes.
So,
not that hard. I mean, I've only seen it about 100 times since then, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely the Christmas rotation every year. In fact, and this is where I'm sad again, if Alamo Drafthouse, every year Alamo Drafthouse does a quote along, and so
what?
A quote along. Where you go and you can quote along to the movie. So
nice.
Jen and I, that has been our tradition for years now. And just to find out when is it showing, and we go, and we never. And if we don't make it to Alamo Drafthouse, then of course we'll have to watch it at home at least once. That and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation are the two that have to happen every single year. So
you only have two that have to happen every single year?
Yeah.
I literally have like a list that is 3 pages long of movies that have to happen every single year.
Well, turn that list over to Susan.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not doing that. Again,
hello.
I know.
I already have a list. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she does.
Okay,
I
so
don't need another one.
fair question. Ahead of what might come in the next episode. What are some of the movies on your list, Susan? I'm curious. That
On
are
my
on
list?
rotation. Yeah. That are
Wait,
Christmas
no.
rotation.
No. She's not talking about
Zero.
movies.
Oh.
She's
Zero.
talking about
That's what I was
Got it.
saying.
her list.
She's not. Oh, you're talking about
Capital
your list. Got it. Okay.
H.
Yeah, no.
Capital L.
My Christmas list, my Christmas movies that must be replayed over and over and over again every single Christmas.
Yeah.
0.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Remember,
Well, we
she's
need to
not
fix that.
she doesn't like Christmas movies.
I'm
She's
the Grinch.
established.
I don't think she likes Christmas. So. Oh man!
I
All right,
agree,
so
and call me the Grinch.
It makes me so sad. When people don't like Christmas, it literally makes me sad. And that it's not you, it's me. It's entirely me. Like I shouldn't have that kind of reaction.
Whole story.
I believe it,
Not safe for.
but
human
that's what makes me
consumption.
sad. The fact that there's a story, that's what makes me sad. Like that, your story, not even knowing what your story is, makes me sad. Like I just like I want to hug you and be like, I love Christmas so much. I wish I could change this for you.
I want to hug you and then stuff a bunch of mistletoe down your throat.
It's poisonous. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. But she doesn't
Okay,
know that because she
well-
doesn't know it.
Okay.
Well, Susan finally saw Elf, and I'm pleased to hear that, Susan. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It is a lot of fun. And I would say this is a good year to start your Christmas rotation of movies.
Like, just make it 2. Like, just pick 2. Like, Die Hard and Elf. Every year you have to sit down and watch Die Hard and Elf. At least you have a list, and you're watching 2 fantastic friggin' movies.
Yeah.
I can handle that. I can
All right,
handle
A
that.
Christmas Story.
I've never seen it.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Haven't seen it.
Why did we give her Breakfast Club if she had never seen A Christmas Story or Elf?
But I
Keep
didn't.
going.
I wasn't
Minus
thinking
for
about the
both
timing.
of us. What's that?
Keep going.
No.
Keep going. I can list all the movies. I mean, like you.
It's a Wonderful Life. Have you
and I'll
not
keep
seen
saying
it?
no.
It's a Wonderful Life? No. Okay.
No.
Although, never mind. I won't get into it. Okay.
It's, yeah.
I honestly hadn't seen It's a Wonderful Life until about 8 years ago. So that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get around to It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. All
Well,
the way through.
week to week, you can find out what movie Susan has finally watched. So thank you for that contribution, Susan. It's always fun to react with shock when you tell us what you saw. So this week for Real Time Rewind, I'm going to continue the theme that I've been doing this month, which is what I call dialogue-driven movies that are more so about dialogue. And I've got several, and I actually got into a bit of a tiff about this one with someone that lives in this house with me, because they didn't quite agree that it was a dialogue-driven movie, but I'm right because I'm the one that's going to say it on the show. I want to remind people about a movie I just saw, but I know that others have seen it and maybe need to be reminded that it's out there, because The Devil Wears Prada is amazing. I really love that film. And for me, it is a very dialogue-y driven movie. I mean, it's not so much about it. You can, in my opinion, you can view it as a film that's about the fashion and all about the life of working for a high-end fashion magazine kind of stuff. But there are some very, very deep conversation points and dialogue points that happen throughout this film that for me are what drive the narrative. It contains a fantastic performance by one of my all-time favorites, Meryl Streep. That's so understating it. But it's a film that I want to remind people is out there because it is wonderful. I finally got a chance to watch it. And I have to tell you, Stanley Tucci is a treasure, if we haven't said that already on this show. I can't say enough. In fact, it drove me to go and just find Stanley Tucci's films, and man, he's been in a lot. And so I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive into Stanley Tucci's work here pretty soon to see what else I haven't seen, because I've seen him in a lot. But The Devil Wears Prada is one that I think people should watch and remember is out there. Paul or Susan, have y'all seen that film?
Let me ask you a silly question. Did you just start that sentence?
I
That question
did.
with,
I do it out of respect.
Did you see this movie? Susan.
Right, from now on, I'm going to be like, Paul, what are your thoughts?
And then Susan can just interrupt. This is what we should this is the way to do it. is just ask me, and then if Susan has seen it, before I can even answer, Susan jumps in and said, wait, guys, I have actually seen that one. How's that?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like, I have seen that one.
All right. And
I
then
don't know if I'll be able to take the shock. So.
No, but it'll be fun. It'll add an aspect of mystery and intrigue.
Yeah, this is good.
Look, first of all, I would agree with whoever might have told you that it's not really a talkie movie, but that's okay. It's your segment, so you can pick whatever you want as a talkie movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. Super fun. Anne Hathaway, fantastic. Yeah. Stanley Tucci. Just to build on Stanley Tucci, if you have the list and haven't seen Big Trouble, have you seen Big Trouble?
No, I haven't.
Okay, put that up to the top of the list.
Yeah. Okay.
Great movie. Super fun. You'll love it.
I will say, I do have a lot of problems with the film, with the story and the directions that it took, but you know, it's not enough for me to go into a long.
The one scene that I absolutely love in this movie is, you know, Anne Hathaway shows up, you know, in her sort of like, oh, fuck fashion, this is bullshit attitude.
Yeah.
And Meryl Streep literally dresses her down and says, you're wearing that sweater and you just think, oh, I'm above this fashion. And then she breaks down exactly how that sweater ended up at Target. And it's fascinating. That scene is just, it's just a perfect, and in that sense, I understand why you feel like it's a dialogue-driven movie.
And there were several moments like that for me.
Right. And for that reason, I get where you're coming from in saying this is a dialogue-driven movie. But like, it is so crisp and so like, wow. And informative, like, cause like I wouldn't get any of that. Like that's just beyond me, but it just makes perfect. Like, it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool. I could see how that would happen.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's really cool.
For me, it was one of those rare movies that gets you to realize that you have now begun to root for the person who is seemingly the villain in the film. And you sit there and you go, ooh, wow, I feel kind of dirty because now I don't know that I was supposed to feel bad for that person. So yeah, it was very nicely done. I really enjoyed it, and it took way too long to see it, but I'm glad that I did. If it's not on your list, Susan, I'm going to go ahead and just go on the record now that I think you'll enjoy it. So add it to your list.
It's on your list.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it really is a fun film. So that brings us now to a quick reminder that you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you check us out. If you haven't clicked follow on those, please do. You'll know what we're watching, what we're going to be talking about, and what we've talked about in the past. Also here on YouTube, thank you once again for joining us. We appreciate that you do. Don't forget to like the episode if you enjoyed it, maybe even if you didn't, because, you know, we like that you came back, so like us for doing the show. Also, don't forget you can click subscribe if you haven't already and click the notification bell so you know when our episodes land. And comment. Let us know what you're thinking. We love to read what you think. It's time now for real quick reviews. Paul, I know you got one for us, and I'm excited to hear about it.
Am I doing one or two?
2 is fine.
2 is fine. Okay. First one, because there's an ongoing theme in this podcast of my stand for Aubrey Plaza. She just had a movie released on video on demand called Black Bear, which is a complete. If you're a huge Aubrey Plaza fan like me, or you stan her like I do, you have to watch it just because it's different in that it actually features Aubrey Plaza for the whole movie rather than like the 5 best minutes of the movie is Aubrey Plaza. So it's different in that way. And also the role that she plays is totally different. Just a really genuine departure for her. A really interesting movie. This one again, as many Aubrey Plaza movies could have fallen into my what the hell did I just watch in some respects. It's basically a tale of 2 movies. It starts with Aubrey Plaza comes and is spending some time in a large, like, I'm going to say cabin, but it's more like a lodge, like a private private residence lodge. It's huge. It's beautiful. And, she's a movie writer and director, and she's coming out to write basically as an Airbnb type of thing to write her next movie. And then like horrible things happen and you get to a really horrible thing and the movie stops, and then rewind and restart, and they're actually making Aubrey Plaza is making a movie basically about what just happened. Oh. And it's I've commented before that I love surreal existentialism in movies, and this is has a lot of flavor with that, and I really liked it, but I didn't love it. I don't, so I'll say 3 in guac, 3 tacos and guac for that one. If you like Aubrey Plaza or love Aubrey Plaza like I do, I highly, highly recommend it. If you kind of like if you like that sort of existential angst in movies, I would highly recommend it. The other movie I checked out, Steven Soderbergh has a new movie on HBO Max, which it stars Candice Bergen, Diane Wiest, and Meryl Streep as a triumvirate of college friends that now are in their 70s and have an opportunity to catch up. And they catch up on a crossing of the Queen Mary 2 from New York to London. And so first of all, it's Steven Soderbergh. So I mean, if you like Steven Soderbergh, it's very Steven Soderbergh-y. Like there are just a lot of things that are going on that you'll be like, oh my God, I remember this feels a little like Ocean's 12, in a lot of spots. Like there's a lot of like Ocean's, screenshot or scene shot selections and stuff like that. It's super talky, Sergio. So it's got Meryl Streep, Sergio. So. Yeah. And I know you like Meryl Streep too, Susan. It's sad. It's funny. It's really good. It's everything you would expect with Meryl Streep and Steven Soderbergh, quite frankly. But Candice Bergen's the best thing in this movie, and I'm not even. I would say it's not even close that Candice Bergen is the best thing in this movie, and she is so good. And her character is just so funny and tragic. It's just I absolutely adored Candice Bergen in this, and I can't recommend this one more. This one, I'm going to say 4 tacos. I'm torn if I want to add guac. I'm not going to right now, but before I throw up a rating on my letterbox, you might see it ends up getting 4.5 stars. I don't know.
Gotcha. You did a great job, a better job than the trailer did of enticing me to want to see it, because I was considering it just yesterday, and I watched the trailer that was available, and it just didn't move me. But now that you've mentioned, when you say Candice Bergen is the best against Diane Wiest and Meryl Streep in that, to use your word, triumvirate, which is a great word. Yeah. I'm now intrigued.
I honestly, like, I love Diane Wiest in so many things. And I love Meryl Streep in everything, but I am not even. Candice Bergen is so good in this. It is, gotcha. And by the end, it's so I can't. I'm almost about to add guac again because of the ending is so like, holy shit. And like, then you realize what's been going on with Candice Bergen. Please watch it, Sergio, please. I would love to hear your take on it. So,
but not Susan.
And Susan too. Susan too. No,
I'm teasing.
It's super talky. So I just don't know if Susan would be all that into it. Honestly, like you don't like the talkies, Susan. You're on record as saying you don't like the talkies, and literally nothing happens in this movie but talky talk. So,
oh man, I'm in. Talky talk with Candice Bergen, Diane Wiest, and Meryl Streep.
Right.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, real quick reviews are always a chance for you guys to find out what is out there and what we think. Paul, thank you so much for carrying that load for us. And I know that in the future, as the show rolls forward, whenever we come across new releases that we all participate in, we will share as well. I do have to ask you, Paul, if I may, because I sneak onto both of your Letterboxd accounts to find out what you've been watching. And in 30 seconds or less, I noticed you watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh my God.
And you gave it 5. So that excites me.
It blew my frigging mind. I can't with this movie. Like, it's too good. It's too good. I don't know.
That's all I want to know right now, because I saw that and I've been debating. So
if nothing else, even if you just put it on mute and just watched, it's just beautiful. It is just beautiful. And then, and also it's in French, so you can read the subtitles. But
I guess I'll have to. So.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Portrait of a Woman on Fire and Let Them All Talk, both tragic for completely different reasons, but equally tragic. And by the end, you're just emotionally there is a connection that you make with the characters, more so in Portrait of a Woman on Fire, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, more so in that. But yeah.
All right. Well, I love Letterboxd. If you guys don't know about it, we'll throw up that logo for you to see there on the screen. You can track how many movies you've seen. You can share with your friends, become friends, and then you can stalk them like I do Susan and Paul to figure out what they're watching and what they've watched. And so fun times. Also want to say a big thank you to all of you, not just for watching, but also for all your support and encouragement. We look forward to 2021. I know we still have at least one more episode to go before we're finished for this year. One more to go. But it's not too early to start wishing you all a nice holiday season and encouraging you to stay safe out there. We know this year will be different. Movie watching is different. Family time is different. But we know that we want to keep doing this for you, and we want you to be around for it. So please take care of one another, take care of yourselves, wear your mask, wash your hands, all that good stuff, and continue to do what's got to be done so we can get out of this. Because I want to go watch movies at the theater and eat popcorn.
Friggin'
popcorn at home isn't the same as popcorn in the theater.
You're ridiculous.
Is that a reaction to your home popcorn or to movie theater popcorn?
No, any popcorn. I worked in a movie theater. I can't eat popcorn.
Oh,
not true. Not true. If it's cheddar popcorn, but just like regular popcorn.
Susan, where do you land on movie theater popcorn?
Oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah. I could probably swim in it if somebody would let me.
If you are stuck in a room for 6 hours popping popcorn, I promise.
I used to work concession stands. Once. No, I used to work concession stands at like the Cedar Park Center, which is where they have like our semi-pro hockey people serving popcorn, going and popping the popcorn and bringing it back in giant trash bag type things. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right, I lost my taste for it. I'm sorry to say.
I can still swim in. I could still and nacho cheese.
I'm just having a picture of you like Scrooge McDuck jumping into his gold piles and jumping
out. That's exactly
out.
what I was thinking.
That's the image I got.
I was thinking of the ball pit.
Pool and like 75 pounds of popcorn.
And just eating your way out.
No, swimming in it.
Well, that too. So.
God,
oh my goodness, the weirdness that happens on this show. All right. Well, it's always a fun time talking movies with the two of you. We've got one more to go. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is it roulette time again?
No.
No?
We're doing Christmas movies that aren't Christmas movies, or movies that are Christmas movies that are something along those lines. Susan's she's gonna be so excited for this topic. It's not even funny. We can
movies
tell
that are accidentally Christmas.
Oh, sorry, guys.
She might be getting
so
sick.
Great.
I think she has COVID. Damn it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. Well. All right. Well, we'll look forward to the next time when we get together and talk movies once again. Remember, we just got to say it all the time. You're awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. We'll see you next time on Real to Real Talk.